Hello, I'm Jean McClelland, and I'm very pleased to be part of the New York Open Center's New Yorkers for New York toolkit for our frontline workers, our essential workers, and for all of us who are dealing with great stress and anxiety from this very, very tumultuous time. I'm a musician, and I've been teaching Awaken Your True Voice at the New York Open Center since 1986. I am also a certified senior teacher of the Alexander Technique and one of fewer than a dozen people worldwide personally selected by the great breathing pioneer Carl Stowe to teach the principles of his breathing coordination. So you can probably see that the essence of my work is body, breath, and voice. So today, I just want to share with you a few tools that I feel will be especially useful for you to alleviate stress, tension, and anxiety. This is not a physiology lecture, but I do want you to know that there is some science in what I'm saying to you. And the very first thing that I think is very helpful to understand is that we are designed, our body is designed to use gravity to go up and away from it. And when we are under stress and tension and have a lot of fear and anxiety, we collapse, we go down, we feel depleted. And no amount of trying to make ourselves feel better and pull ourselves up is really particularly helpful. But if we understand that we are designed to use gravity to go up and away from it, begins to stimulate something in us. So the first tool I want to share with you is just how we sit. We are sitting so much today in Zoom meetings, Zoom classes, our work is online, or we're sitting watching our screens a lot. So the very first thing we want to do is to learn how to sit comfortably upright. So for that, I'm going to show you what is very helpful to understand, and that is that we have these little two bottom bones of the torso right there. They're called sits bones, and we can permit ourselves to be balanced on them. So I'm going to bring my laptop down here so that you can see this on me. I work a great deal with musicians, and I teach them this all the time because it helps breathing so much, because most people sit like this. And then when they recognize that they're sort of all slumped down in what a student of mine calls the jelly position, then they try to pull themselves up by the upper chest, but they're still sort of compressed here. So we want to just permit this chair to rise up underneath our sits bones so that we feel comfortably erect, permitting the chair to support you so that we're not collapsing down, but we're really letting the rise of the chair support us. It's a wonderful tool to use to remind yourself of that you don't have to force your body into an upright position, but we have something that helps us with that. And when you're standing, you can permit the same thing to happen. Gravity works on the sensory nerve endings in the muscles of the feet, which in turn send what we call a postural reflex through the body. It's up. Exhalation in the body is up. We'll get to that in a moment. So as you're standing there, we can just permit the earth to hold us up. It's a wonderful way to think of grounding. I think grounding is a very confusing term because most people think grounding is down. But grounding is permitting the earth to support you. And movement is lovely. So we're letting the earth move us. Again, not to be too physiological on you, but gravity stimulates these inner muscles of the abdomen down here, called the psoas muscles, and they stimulate the diaphragm, and it also helps us really understand getting into a state of flow. It's a very musical body, a wonderful state of flow. It also really does relieve anxiety to permit yourself to be moved. If you think about when we're under stress and tension, not only do we collapse, but we're grabbing onto ourselves. We hold on for dear life. Totally natural, just absolutely 100% natural to do that. But we can learn how to permit the elegance of this body, the inner structure of the body, to support us, to hold us up. So we're letting Earth give us a gentle sway, a gentle movement. I think it's important to tie this up into breathing, the up of breath. There's a big misconception in breathing, and that is that exhalation is down. I hear it all the time. People say, well, when I exhale, and their hands go down, or we sigh and we go down. Nothing is further from the truth. Exhalation is up. And it is the exhalation that gets rid of the carbon dioxide in the lungs, which tenses nerves and muscles, and that's anxiety and stress. On a breathing level, anxiety and stress is that carbon dioxide stays in the lungs. And when carbon dioxide stays in the lungs, oxygen, which relaxes nerves and muscles, simply cannot get in. It's dependent on getting rid of carbon dioxide. So I want to show you something that, and our great big breathing muscle, the diaphragm, is responsible for pushing up on the lungs to get rid of carbon dioxide. I want to show you a tool that many of my students, and I'm currently teaching a voice class at the Open Center, and one of the students, when I was talking to her about sharing some tools with you, she said, you've got to teach them the pulling out of the hiss. So I'm going to teach you the pulling out of the hiss because it's going to invigorate all your inner muscles and it's going to get carbon dioxide out of the lungs. Lower hand holds on to the anchor hand, the lower hand, and we're just going to trace. I call this an allowing hand. We allow what's underneath it to come up. We're going to trace up here around the jaw hinge. We're going to open the mouth and we're going to pull out a hiss. We're going to see what we pull out as though it's a big taffy pull. So I trace. I pause, my hand is only so long, arm is only so long. I've just triggered this reflexive inhalation. I've stirred the diaphragm, stirred the movement of breath out of my lungs, the movement of carbon dioxide out of my lungs, and exhalation, which permits the diaphragm to contract and air gets pulled, oxygen gets pulled into the lungs. So you're really building strength in the diaphragm, movement of the diaphragm to cleanse the lungs. Carl Stowe said that he worked very closely with pulmonologists, and he said that all infection in the lungs stems from pockets of dead air, pockets of carbon dioxide stuck. So this is a wonderful way of encouraging movement up. You trace the upward flow, you come to lips, you open, and you reach in, pull out with the hiss. And air comes in. Some of you, if you have your hand down on the lower part of your belly, and as you really see what it is that you're pulling out, you will feel engagement of these deep inner muscles. There's a great synergy between these deep inner muscles and the diaphragm, just so you know what the diaphragm looks like inside your ribs. Here you go. So the lesson of the day is this. You can do your hiss too. You don't have to do the pulling in. You can just, a simple hiss. You can let movement flow underneath your feet and then pausing, and air comes in. So just in closing, think about everything that we worked with. The operative word of the day is up. Chair rises up underneath your sits bones to uphold you. Earth rises up underneath your feet to uphold you, to stream you up. And breath, exhalation moves up. It is cleansing your lungs. It is ridding your body of that anxiety and stress that comes from a buildup of carbon dioxide in the lungs. And then the joy of opening. Inhalation is the reflex. Nothing you need to do to inhale. The joy of opening and letting life force oxygen come into your lungs like that. It's very, very powerful. So play around with these tools. I hope you will enjoy them. I hope you will get as much from them as my students get, as I get, as I practice every single day, this movement, this upward flow of breath. And I hope that we will work together again. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you're doing for us, frontline workers, essential workers, all the delivery people, all the grocery people, everyone that has kept the society going during this very difficult time. So I send you my love and my gratitude, and thank you for listening.